Hi everyone, I'm John, your host for today on Route to Scale, a short podcast featuring the founders and operators building the future of e-commerce, fulfillment, modern delivery, and mobility. In this segment, we're going to be focusing on Africa, and today I'm honored to have Adebowale, founder and CEO of Waysdrop. Waysdrop is a delivery ecosystem connecting daily users, businesses, couriers, and fulfillment centers on one accountable platform. Waysdrop connects you with the most trusted couriers for seamless peer-to-peer package sending, store order fulfillment, and instant dispatch rider matching. Whether you're an individual sending packages, an online vendor needing reliable e-commerce delivery, or a courier looking for flexible jobs, Waysdrop has you covered. Thank you so much, Adebowale. We're so excited to have you on this call today.
Thank you, John, for having me. Yeah, it's nice to be on here.
Absolutely. So we have to ask you, what led you to start Waysdrop?
So, just to put it in a plain, what's it called, scope, right? So, I think then it was more of like I've got a couple of bikes, and I had to make someone manage it for me, right? So, at a point in time, there was a lot going on, so I could not really get a hold of the business. I had to, make sure that our customers have as well experience when it comes to doing this amount as dispatch a company. So at the at the very end, we had to shut down because there was nothing to actually be able to manage the business. But with my experience of building some specific delivery system, right, I've been able to gather that experience and be like, okay, if I'm facing this problem, definitely there are other people who are independent couriers with multiple fleets, multiple employees, right, that want to optimize their operations and eliminate fraud, right, that will be needing this as well. So that's how Waysdrop come about, to be honest. So it was just still more of like a side thing, right? Getting some bikes, which a lot of people does, having working and getting a side what's it called, business, right? So, but it was hectic because there was no proper operation management, employee management, or a system to actually do that because we have to be using Excel and all of that. So, I mean, with my experience of building, right, then if I can, why not? So that's how we found Waysdrop.
Wow, wow. So, one unique thing about your business is that you were very clearly wanting me to describe it as a delivery ecosystem, rather than just a delivery app or whatnot. What's the difference? Why is this important for you and your company?
So if you look at the daily mobility, right, moving of packages from one place to the other, you definitely know that it's not just about you sending packages or buying it from an e-commerce platform, doing deliveries done. It's deeper to the stage of how about the storage, right? You want to sell online, but you want the storage to be done by someone else and deliver on your behalf, right? So how can we get our clause on those specific delivery needs, right? And that's the reason why I said it's a delivery ecosystem. Because if you look at what we are trying to do and how we're trying to do it, right, you definitely notice that these specific needs, right, still boils down to an infrastructure that can enable it. And we are helping to enable that, right, by empowering the independent couriers that has multiple fleets that could do delivery at their will.
Wow, wow. Awesome, awesome. Now, one of the things that I find quite, unique about especially in Africa, right, is on delivery, I mean, logistic businesses in general are always very complicated and very challenging, right? In areas like Lagos, Nigeria, which you have just you started your business in, is I would only imagine incredibly more so. Some areas are not mapped very well. There is lack of addresses, heavy traffic, courier supplies at times may be different. Maybe challenging. How do you what actually makes operationally running such businesses difficult?
So for the independent careers, a couple of people that we've spoken to, right? I would just mention four things, right? One of them is the most important thing for them is the job, right? How they'll be able to get constant gig, right? So that means they have to be the one sourcing or speaking to vendors and doing their pricing themselves. That's the first thing, right? The second thing is the people management. Their employees, the riders, the fraud that comes with that, and all of that. How do they manage that? I mean, there's a gap there. The third thing is the system which they will use to manage their operation, right? Some might not fit into what their business operation is all about. Some might be too expensive, and some might not want to spend more money on that because they are cool with the way they handle things, either using WhatsApp or using Express sheets, right? And the last thing is finances, right? Because some of these guys, even if they make that money, like transaction keeps coming in every single day, there's no source of truth regarding what is coming in for their business. Because if you can definitely take bank transfer, right, and the bank transfer is not necessarily showing that, oh, this is for delivery, you might not be able to prove it. But if you're working or probably working with a platform or a delivery system that helps you to keep track of your transactions, right, it's easier for you to tender that as a source of truth for financing of your fleet or financing of your operation.
Wow, wow. Awesome, awesome. Now, one of the key things that, you know, uh, I think Waysdrop is trying to also work on is finding ways to optimize their routes and increase efficiency, right, using your ecosystem. What role
Mhm.
does routing, mapping, and location accuracy play in getting deliveries there fast and keeping costs down for your customers?
I think he actually plays, when it comes to the delivery infrastructure that we're building, he actually plays one of the vital role, right?
Mm.
So without those elements of the routing, the mapping and all of that, it's definitely going to be like you're just trying to waste your time, right? Because for every time anyone moves to want to deliver, drop off or pick up, right? They need to be able to get the precise location. When I mean precise location, meaning if it's a White House without no number and all of that, then there should be a way which you can be able to manage that. So what we built, right, currently using is using the scope of Uber and the likes, which is H3, like what is what three, right? So in a situation whereby there's no home address or probably it's not properly mapped, right? That helps us, right, to pinpoint either the pickup or the drop off, right? So that's currently what we are using right now, right? But in the sense of it, in Nigeria currently, there's now a what's it called, postal coding system, right? That is in play right now. So I mean, the mapping I've started. It's not all over Nigeria yet, but they've started the mapping, right? And that's coming from the Nigerian Postal Service. So they are as well building that on the side, right? Which later on we'll be able to plug that in. So there's a proper mapping right now that's going on there. But currently, what we are using currently is that what three, right? In a situation whereby Google Map is not doing what it needs to do, right? Then we've built, and that's close to about 26,000 words, right? Combination. So that means there will always be three different unique words that actually map to a latitude and a longitude. So that's what we're currently using right now, which at least has been a good what's it called way to optimize routing and mapping for ourselves.
Wow, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, just want to double click on that, right? You seem to already have gone through a lot of effort to try and improve your routing and your mapping and your accuracy and what those, right? Um,
Yeah.
why do you invest so much? Maybe you can share a little bit of your experiences on what's the cost of it getting wrong. What happens if we don't do these things right?
So, what happens if you don't do this right? Right, we've got experience whereby, and I tell you, if anyone is listening to the WhatsApp, the podcast, right? Um, these vendors or people that send packages through, an untrained rider or a dispatch rider or someone that doesn't know how to read the map, right, or not getting the right location or the right specific location, is always more about the time they spend trying to find the place,
Hmm,
right, which can be spent on using to deliver another package.
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
if
that's
we're not
leaving
getting
money
that,
on the table.
yeah. So and when it comes to mobility, we all know the time is actually the money, right? So if we're not doing that right now, that is a lot of gaps there. So we're trying to close that gap, right? But not just in turn right, make delivery what's it called independent couriers business more sustainable, but as well make it in the long run more easy to to be an entry point. Because if I want to start a delivery right now, I've got money to purchase a couple of bikes, right? The next thing I'm going to be thinking about is to get a system that could help me undo all of that, instead of me trying to stress and all of that. Because the time you have to stay on the phone calling your customers saying, oh, I can't see, is it a White House, is it, oh, I went to the wrong address, right? Those times the system is already helping you to actually handle that, right? So if we're not doing that, then the same issue that is being recycled is still going to be there, costing a lot. And that is actually close to, the last time I checked, right, is definitely close to 5 billion in a year
Wow.
been lost on the system. Yeah, been lost on the system whereby they are not able to, like, I think the last time I checked the data, that was what it was saying there, right? There's a loss on there, right, when it comes to a system that they could not be able to use to manage the operation. And that's on a larger scale, that's not on a small scale,
Wow.
right? But if we can give that to them on a smaller scale, that would definitely help the informal what's it called this delivery dispatch riders. And right now, I think in Nigeria, there's a saying that we want to optimize or probably like get to 1 trillion informal economy. So that's the next goal now in Nigeria.
Wow. Wow. So, one of the key things that we know from any logistics business and especially delivery specifically is
Mm.
trust, right? Trust from ETAs, from live tracking locations so the customer feels at ease, especially in areas where it can be dangerous, right? Where you do business in, right? How much weight do you put on trust and protection and letting your customers know how safe their packages or their goods feel?
Okay, so I'll say this to you, right? Trust and protection is 100%.
Mm.
It's not negotiable, right? And I'll say the reason why it's not negotiable. I was speaking to a partner, a potential partner yesterday, who's going to be integrating our API, into the system. And one of the things he asked me was, how protected is the package?
Mm.
Now we've got two protection systems. We've got the payment protection system, and
Mm.
we've got the package protection system, which is just normal barcode and a code from where you take the package and where you drop it off, right? And the payment protection system is for, because there's a thing called pay on delivery, right? Especially in Nigeria, right? People that sells online, people that buys online, because you want to avoid the issue of what I bought versus what I got, right? So in that case, right, we develop a pay on delivery system that allows a link to be sent, right, through when a what's it called, a proof of delivery code is sent out. So that means the package protection system, right, is embedded, a link of payment is embedded into that system once you request for pay on delivery. So even when the person that's getting the package, right, wants to pay, the code is not going to be activated until they make the payment. So by
Mm.
so doing, if vendors are not getting frauded, right, the individuals as well are not getting frauded. So this is away from escrow using the payment link to tied to the proof of delivery code. Now the trust is way above, and this is why I said it's a delivery ecosystem, not a delivery app. Because
Mhm.
we launching, we getting into the market, we understand that it's not about the app. They don't want to even speak or probably interact with the app. They want to speak and interact with people, and this is where our waste up comes in place. So the waste up right now is not using existing individuals, right, who they are known in their community. We've got a POS agent in Nigeria. We've got the barber, we've got the salons, right? Couple of these people, right, they are known in their community. And it's possible that you might have gone there to say, oh, do you know a dispatch rider? Do you know a courier company that I can quickly use right now? Right. So what we do with the waste of, which is part of our what's it called delivery pipelines that we based on our infrastructure, is anytime you register as a waste up agent, right? If anyone goes into your you come into your location and they want to request delivery, you get a commission for processing the delivery.
Mm.
So now you could see that the trust that people already have on you, because you are in a community, we not want you to be earning from that trust. Because once you've got that trust, right, then the trust can in turn give a reputation to our platform as well.
Mm. I see. Wow, wow. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Totally see it. There's one interesting thing I saw about your model when I was reading on. I just wanted
Mm.
researching about your company. I just wanted to clarify, right? You know,
Yeah,
your model uses a, like I said, ecosystem unique ecosystem approach where you not only connect your software and your APIs to
mm,
other larger traditional couriers and providers for your customers to choose, but
mm.
but what also seems to hint that you do also have your own fleet, right? Um,
Yeah.
that you work with.
So so what we do
Yeah.
is instead of we having our own fleet, we do not have our own fleet, right?
Okay.
We partner with fleet financing companies,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Okay.
So instead of we, because there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to last mile delivery, right?
Of course.
So instead of we trying to own the ad asset, right? We have a career partner program,
Mm.
right? That ensures that you've got we partner with people that can help you get your employees vetted. We give you the system, right? We partner with vendors that would bring in delivery, like, and as well spread our ways up to some specific location, whilst we help you get partners that will finance your fleet.
Got it.
So you're like a node in our network, right? If anyone needs delivery, right? If they think about delivery, they think about us, then they can just come into the system, right? And request, and we just match them to
Got
you.
it. Got it. Got it. Awesome. Awesome. So so one of the things that is always really important I can see in your system is obviously your
Mm.
technology, right? What are the specific tools, systems, or investments you have made that you feel has created the biggest difference in your operation so far?
Is it internal operation or external operation?
Hmm. Both. Yeah.
So, okay, so I would definitely say, right, using because we've got a waste AI, and if you go to our platform as well, our website, you'll be able to see that, right? So I believe that has actually, like, improved what we were doing, right? From just focusing on Nigeria and tweaking the infrastructure to ensure that the same, system, right, can be applied to another country. So if we're going to Ghana, for example, we're going to Kenya, for example, right now, we've mapped their own, what's it called, country, right? So it's easier for us to get there. And as well, we've worked on the payments infrastructure payment providers, which anytime we go to a specific different countries, right, then we are able to, like, price in their current currency, right? So I believe AI has actually made that possible. We have couple of agents, right? Some couple of agents that we've built, right, with this specific delivery infrastructure. So our delivery infrastructure has an agent to it. So it's not just normal logical writing and all of that, right? So I think that is what we've actually done that makes everything more easier, and making us have this delivery infrastructure.
Wow. Wow. Awesome. Awesome. Well, time flies when you're having fun. We're just at our last few questions over here. And these
Okay.
ones are my favorite ones. So if you had to
Okay.
name one of the largest challenges you're trying to solve right now in your business, what would it be and why?
I think it's the delivery pipeline,
Hmm.
because these guys, yeah, it's the delivery pipeline, right? And before you can get that delivery pipeline, then you must actually earn the trust,
Hmm.
right? So I might say it's the trust, right? But we want to earn the trust so that we can get that pipeline, right? So that's the reason why we are now more focusing on, the community approach, like the ways up, like the ways out, right? So that would then, bring that delivery volume to our riders, to our independent courier companies, right? So I believe it's the pipeline, right? But the trust that we get would definitely enable us to actually, create that delivery pipeline that our independent couriers can definitely work with. So I wouldn't say it's the technology, because I believe we've got the tech, right, 100%, right. But before we can definitely scale up to that stage of we getting people's trust, right, getting that delivery pipeline, right, is more of about we putting our footprint in a couple of places, and that is the ways of the ways out, right, and partnering with specific commerce that can enhance or increase our reputation for us to get those trust, for those delivery pipelines to be popping in.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Now, then, what then does your next stage of growth look like for Waysdrop? For example, how many deliveries are you at, maybe on a weekly basis? How many do you want to get to by the end of the year, starting 2027, right? Where are you headed?
To be honest, right, I could definitely give you a number right now, but if we do not have a proper, I wouldn't say execution, but a proper, should I say, financing to actually get there, we might not be able to get there, right? Because it takes a lot
But that's
for
okay.
people,
Yeah.
yeah, for you to get the trust. But to be honest, by the end of the year, probably we're looking at maybe 5,000 deliveries monthly,
A
right?
monthly?
That
Okay.
is, yeah, yeah, on the fairer side, right? But I believe that we could definitely do more than that if we harness our ways up program very well.
Mm.
That means looking at people, they're already earning, right? They're earning what they do every single day. Whilst being on our platform as well, they can still earn, right? So instead of we trying to be the one financing every single up, we'll have some ups which way we finance, right? But instead of we financing every single up, right, we can make people as well that've got that space, right? Because it's an on-demand delivery. You don't have to keep 20 or 50 packages in your space because it goes out that same day.
Mm. Mm.
So I believe that's where we have.
So you said 5,000 end of the year. Maybe how much are you doing right now as a starting point, right? And then how is that, fit into, you mentioned financing, right? What are your steps then maybe to bridge that then financing gap to get to that 5,000?
So like I said, the ways up is one of them,
Mm.
right? And the ways out is another one as well.
Mm.
So if any stock comes on our platform, they want to sell on our platform, and for some reason they're having storage issues, right? It's being sent out to the warehouses, right? Which is part of our network, right? And for those warehouses, right, they are still using our system to run the delivery.
Mm.
So
Okay.
for every of those, what's it called? Every of those pipelines that we've layered on our delivery infrastructure, the warehouse is one of them. The waste up is one of them, right? The waste send, which is the P2P delivery, is one of them. So, but where can we get those volumes? That's what we're looking at because it is easier for you to deal with businesses, right, than dealing with individuals
Mm. Awesome. Awesome.
because the individuals goes to meet those businesses, right? And they say, okay, delivery, they already partner with us, then it makes that easy. But for us to actually get there, right? Whilst the rate at which we're speaking to a couple of business right now, maybe we're getting let's say an average of 10, 15 businesses, coming on board, right? Some of them, the trust issue still steps in to be able to understand that is my money safe, right? Is my package safe, right? So that's where we still are right now. We're doing a couple of deliveries. I mean, at an average of, let's say, we get delivery requests at an average of, let's say, 200 per month, right? Currently,
Mm.
right? Because we're spread thin. But I'm very, very sure that by the time we do those stuff, right, and we get, it's more about people because we
Mm.
need to get people in some places that will be able to like say, okay, something is happening right here, and this is what it is. So it's not online. You can't do it. You can't do it online. You have to be like with the foot soldiers to get it
Absolutely.
working.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But one of the things I found unique was that your LinkedIn says you're listed also in the UK. Do you work out of the
Mm.
UK or Nigeria, or do you, move between the two countries?
I move between the two countries.
Do you have a family in the UK, or I guess?
Yeah, yeah. I've got my
Ah,
family in the UK.
okay. So you're
Yeah.
you're actually from the UK, but you moved back to
No,
Nigeria, or?
I'm from Nigeria,
Okay,
right?
right.
Well, yeah, both UK and in Nigeria.
Oh, but your family moved to the UK, or I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I was just asking, what brings you to the UK? I'm just curious to.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So my mom, everyone is here. So yeah, that's why.
I understand. So you have to fly back between the two countries.
100%, hundred
Got
percent.
it, got it. All right, this is my last question. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah.
Um, sometimes we do work and see a lot of budding entrepreneurs and younger folks on our podcast that want to learn. If you had to give one piece of advice to budding founders or entrepreneurs trying to build last mile logistics or mobility businesses in Africa, what's the piece of advice you would give them and why?
I would say pick your struggle. Yeah, I would say pick your struggle because as far as logistics or delivery business is, I would say I would say lucrative, or probably like, it's something that people need every single day as well. You still need to understand the gaps, and you still need to understand how you can definitely serve them better, right? So you might be chasing for a venture capital, probably like you're looking for that money to be the next big delivery companies, but it's not always going to be like that, right? But trying to understand the gaps, right? And speaking to the independent couriers, I noticed that there are some gaps there, gaps in their people management, gaps in their fleet management, right? So those gaps, no one is fulfilling that right now. Like, I mean, fulfilling that right now. They want to, what's it called, maintain their fleet and all of that. No one is fulfilling those gaps right now. And when I actually did the numbers with, a couple of people I've spoken to, I'd like, it might not be a venture capital, what's it called, scale, but there is a gap right there, right? So I would say pick your struggles, right? And whilst you do that, ensure you speak to your customers. Like, make sure that I always say this, lick your customers, but yeah, speak to them every single now and then, because they will be the one to actually drive and let you know where you need to be. Because the more you speak to them, because I've spoken to a couple of people, that's how we actually integrated pay on delivery on our platform, right? Because the e-commerce, the online vendors, right, gives packages to the independent couriers and say, help me collect payment on delivery.
Mm, got it. Right. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. So
Well, everyone, that's it for today. Thank you so much, Adebowale, for really your time and your wisdom. I really appreciate it. Everyone, look out for Waysdrop, from Lagos, Nigeria, but soon to be all over Africa. Watch out, they're coming for you. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.